Okay, thank you. There is no way I failed that test. Good afternoon, everyone. Depending on where you are in the world, and good morning for those who are in Sydney morning. I'm talking to you from Adelaide in Australia. And my presentation is based on a study which was conducted a few years ago at Flinders University in Adelaide, and on a study which is monitoring air quality in Adelaide, carried by the EPA South Australia, with the support of the Health Department and the City of Port Adelaide Enfield in Adelaide. But quickly, what's environmental pollution? The concept refers to all forms of pollutant that are discharged in the environment through human activities, and those activities include urbanization, industrialization, mining, transport, and agriculture. And the burden associated with air pollution is affecting both developed and developing nations. Some point where pollutant escape from to before the spread in the environment, we have power generation, goods and mineral processing, we have waste transfer and disposal sites, we have mining and farming industry, we have transport all on the land and in the air and at sea. All those are points where pollutant escape before the spread in the environment. Why we are having those, we are talking today about pollution. In the search for more foodstuff and eventually to preserve and maintain human lifestyle, substances like lead, cadmium, chromium, etc. We have hydrocarbons, residues, soil fertilizers are being discharged in the environment at an uncontrolled rate. These substances are tiny in diameter. Most of them are less than 0.08 micrometer. They cannot be sighted, and they can be easily inhaled by humans. And most of these substances are disease-causing agents in humans with long-term exposure. A few examples of those substances which can be found in the environment. Going from that line here shows you a human hair, which is easily, which have the size ranging from 50 to 180 micrometer to down this level, where some particular substances can be less than 0.04 micrometers, and we are talking about, our focus will be in that section here. Now, there is a problem. We want to combat pollution, but we also want to survive. The question is how to maintain the economic activity at profitable rate and avoid the spread of pollutants in the environment on one hand. On the other hand, what to do for human activities not impact on our lifestyle, because we need to produce more food stuff, but on one side, but we are combating pollution on the other hand. And all this in a world where many people are calling for more responsibility to from large corporates to reduce pollution and to take enough steps to fix the damage that is being caused to people well-being in most disadvantaged communities. The earlier concept of environmental accountability emerged from the United States in late 1960s, where a group of people denounced that due to policy or economic disadvantage, no segment of the world demographic should be forced to accept an equal share of the environmental impacts of pollution. But regrettably, behavior exists in the world in large political corporate to use countries in the most disadvantaged socio-economic group as dumping grounds for their industrial waste. Waste are being discharged in Africa, in many African countries, Latin American countries, and even in South Asia, and to some extent in Australia. And those corporates, are they taking into account of lives of people living in those areas? However, there is kind of good faith. A regulatory framework to mitigate risks associated with pollution exists at global level. We have the Kyoto Protocol, which was signed in December 1997, and which asks countries to limit and reduce greenhouse gases. We have the Paris Protocol, which is a landmark agreement signed in December 2015 to combat climate change through sustainable low carbon future. Again, unfortunately, these protocols lack support. Many countries are not really supporting those protocols, and large polluters are hesitating to ratify them. Like the United States, until now, and Afghanistan, they have never signed the Kyoto Protocol, or they show little commitment to their implementation. Again, the United States is giving little attention to the Protocol of Paris. The second point with these protocols, targets of both protocols are essentially set to reduce greenhouse gases emissions, and they are not targeting. They are doing little to address the problem of pollutants which are being spread in the environment from the different human activities referred to before. Studies, however, have found that the further one moves towards putting a price on pollution, the more the regressive the burden generally becomes. The same studies found that a reduction in pollution decreases the public health risks. And here we have a study which was published by the World Health Organization on pollution, and which showed that every year around 7 million of people die as a result of pollution. And the same report said that reducing air pollution levels, countries can reduce the level of stroke in their population, heart disease, lung cancer, both chronic and acute respiratory disease, including asthma. And we have the map showing the extent of how air pollution is affecting people in the world, and the hotspot is the Southeast Asia, which is the hotspot, and we know that it's certainly due to the increase of manufacturing factories in that area. Now, the same World Health Organization has tried to classify pollutants found in the environment compared to their level of aggressivity in human. And the World Health Organization found that inorganic lead, for example, contribute to lowering IQ in children and is cause of type B human cancer. Same as inorganic arsenic, which is also type A human carcinogen, cancer causing in human, and it causes also skin cancer. We have diesel oil exhaust and benzene, which is cause of type A human carcinogen. We have outdoor air pollution, which generally is associated with transport, agriculture, industrial effluents, bushfires, dust storm, and so on, which are cause of type A human carcinogen and lung cancer. We have cadmium components, which cause damage to kidney and to respiratory problem and cause respiratory problems. We have phosphate residues, which are type A human carcinogen. We have coal, which is cause of lung cancer in human, and all those with long-term exposure, and the list is long. Now, what to do in the face of these inequalities in pollution and the role of the church? I have deliberately decided to leave this slide blank, for everyone can give his opinion what as Christian we can do to bring large polluters to behave responsibly toward the communities. How to close the gap? In my view, and generally, it's always said that he who creates the problem fixes it, which means that there is a need. First, there is a need to maintain the harvest of the world resources at sustainable rate to support the world growing population. There is a need of that. Then pollution is unavoidable if we need to keep our lifestyle, have more foodstuff, keep the lifestyle we are having today. We are not going to avoid pollution. However, like carbon pricing, that's my recommendation. Like carbon pricing, which also has a problem of acceptance, a levy should be enforced on large polluter corporate revenues, and that money should be, and the money raised should be used to fund healthcare systems in socio-economic disadvantaged communities with higher prevalence of chronic disease, and the health of more vulnerable people like older people and children. And what is the aim is to moderate inequalities in terms of pollution outcomes, to lower people morbidity in the most disadvantaged communities for the sake of social justice. Thank you, and any questions?